Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's Nuke coming at you with another episode of Day Trading with Nuke, and this is going to be your market recap for Tuesday, December the 18th, 2018. We're going to cover the SPY. SPY had an absolutely shit-wreck day. It chopped around, dropped down, and then came back up to the high of day. Technically, I guess that set in a lower high. And then it petered around. We thought nothing was going to happen. And then all of a sudden, bam, she just drops. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up first is we want to take a look at this and see how this compared to the daily. And remember, we went in and we marked off all these little spots that go back for 3 years. And really and truly, you know, we were looking at this as a possible level, you know, of resistance where it had hit before. But what I wanted to look at more importantly was, with the Fibonacci, what did we actually see? Pre-market high, pre-market low, and about 50% of the extension below pre-market high and low. All right, next up, we're going to talk about Apple. And you notice a lot of this stuff really wasn't super well marked out today. It's just because it was so shitty of a day. Just didn't even bother, right? So Apple, pre-market low, pre-market high, almost caught the 100%, stopped out at the 167, and then made its way back halfway through the pre-market high to low. So all in all, another doji day. And what did that look like for us? You know, more chopping around, a little consolidation. It's just not ready to go. It looks like the market as a whole is just waiting on the Fed or whoever to make up their minds to tell us, are we going to be saved? Oh my God, it's all going to be all right. Or is it the end of the world, right? So that's what it looked like. Tesla, next up. Tesla farted around all morning. And you had this pre-market high to low, and then it immediately broke out, and it set this new range in from the 100% extension to the low side up to the pre-market low. And it chopped around. We thought we were getting up. Then we hit this resistance line that I had mapped out from the last few days. Right? Hell. All right. Anyway, we're going to try and keep this quick. And then once it tagged out and set in that new high or low, she just retested the pre-market or the 100% down and then dropped like a rock once the SPY gave out. So, is what it is, right? And then she chopped back up to the 200. But that was a hellacious range of movement. Average true range is 14.33, and she hit 1786 today. So all in all, pretty impressive. And what did that look like on the daily chart? Well, all these gains up in just 3 days in a row, hammered, really setting Tesla back a little bit. All right, next up is going to be BABA. Let's take a look at what BABA did. And given this channel that I marked out, just basically setting in some rough trend lines. Yeah, they're not technically, you know, I'm not going high to high to high to high, to low to low to low to low, but they work out, right? Your lady who. And what that set us up was this basic channel, which I thought we were going to see some resistance off the top of it or break underneath and then stick below here. And no, most of the action was captured inside of this band. And that was okay too. But the interesting thing about BABA was right out of the gate, she dumped. And then came back up, tried to dump again, but basically held this range between the 100% low to the 200% low. What coming up and test this. It just was a testy day. It was hard to tell. There was no definitive low or high or whatnot. It just, you know, yeah, you could have ran one from here to here, but by that time you'd already knew to get in. This would have been your entry point. If you missed it, tough shit. She wasn't coming back to give you a second one until right here. But it was so choppy of a day, most people were scared to play with it. All right, and what did that mean or look like for you on the daily chart? It was a pretty solid red candle, fairly even wicks on the top and the bottom, but definitely a solid red candle. Next up is going to be NVDA. NVIDIA had one of those days where it looked like it was going up, 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 and then it fizzled out. Looked like it was going to set in a lower high, and then just it faked us out a little bit, and then it did drop. So it was just a hard day in the market to play. The important takeaway from this is pre-market low to pre-market high, jumped up to 100% extension, back down to the pre-market high, and then ended up at about 50% extension on the upper side. What did that look like on your daily? A bottom set to the consolidation. Who knows what it's going to do tomorrow, right? Okay, Facebook. Facebook was impressing me. I just couldn't get a handle on the damn thing. Pre-market, it dropped off a little bit, dropped all the way down right out of the gate to the pre-market low. Immediately sprang up, broke the pre-market high, came back through, tested it, got its second win, made it to 100% extension, fizzled around here a little bit, and then came up to a 200% extension. And the important thing for you here is what happened. It broke, retested, broke down, came 50% of the way between the pre-market high and the 100% extension, and then came up and ended out, almost finished its day off at the 50% between the 100% and the 200, so 150%, right? All right, and what did that look like on the daily chart once we get down to looking? Solid green candle with a little bit larger wick to the upside than the downside, but all in all, not bad, and still setting in a little bit higher profile than what we had yesterday. So it's kind of like had that short and then a cover pop. All right, next up is going to be Netflix. Netflix, another testy one, right out of the gate, got above the pre-market high, did not hit the pre-market or the 100% above, chopped around, then when it finally got it, rejected this previous resistance line, shoots up straight up to the 100% extension, rejects that for a second, then takes another second one straight up to the 200% extension, gets about 50% of the way there between the 200 and the 300, comes back, retests it, drops back down into the 50% range, and then tries to come back up to the 200. All in all, ton of movement, just hard to predict. What did that look like on the daily chart? Once we get in close, solid green candle, but again, we have a wedge forming here. Will this break out to the high side or the low side? We don't know, but we are definitely in the middle of the Bollinger Bands, so it's not like we're expecting really that we're too oversold or too overbought. Yeah, I guess that was opposite. All right, next up is going to be UL. I didn't even look at this after the start of the day because of how horrible the day was, and I would not have enjoyed that. If you did look at that and you were able to get some of it, I am happy for you. Good Lord, there's a reason I stay away from things like this, right? Another interesting, nearly a perfect red doji. Yeah, glad I stayed away from that one. All right, J&J, Johnson & Johnson, with all the troubles it's had, how did it do today? Come back, take a look at this thing. Look at that. Pre-market low to pre-market high. It was falling off for a little bit, then it bounced, set a new high, came down, tested this resistance line, well, actually support line, right, until it didn't, comes back down, tries to retest the pre-market low, then this becomes resistance, and it just played around in this pre-market range the whole day. $3.60 worth of movement on a $130 stock. It wasn't the easiest one to play, but if you got lucky on it, great. All in all, though, compared to the last couple of days it's had, I'd say this wasn't too bad. All right, next up is going to be Microsoft. Microsoft basically stayed in that pre-market high to low range and got about 50% extension. Look at that. Bam, right between the pre-market high and the 100% extension. So, woo, good for Microsoft. And what did that look like on the daily? Let me go back. Check out this chop, right? Whoop, 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 whoop. Nothing remarkable. But the important part is, no matter how bad these last 3 or 4 days was, it didn't break to the downside. It tried to come back up into the middle of this Bollinger Band, telling us that even though the SPY looks absolutely horrible, these companies are hanging on by that thread, clinging to life, trying not to give up the ghost. Next up, Square. Couldn't find anything I liked about it today other than the fact that it was somewhat respecting this trend line that I drew pre-market. Tested the pre-market high, tested the pre-market low, set in a new lower high, set in a new lower low. You think that's going to go somewhere, but it holds resistance at that pre-market low, gets a second wind, jumps up, and almost looks like it's going to go for the 100% extension, except it fakes out, comes back, retests the pre-market high, and it just farts around. Basically, getting you caught up in a chop fest and giving 2 shits about the hard-earned money that you're going to lose trying to play this junk. So, great stock, horrible time to play it. What does this look like for us on the daily chart? It is consolidating, but it's slowly moving down to the downside. And if you look at the Bollinger Bands, it looks like a sad little penis, and it's starting to hang its head like it's about to give up the ghost. It's been hanging on, but I don't know how much longer Square can hang on before the bottom drops out. Almost last. AMD, the devil darling. I love the way she does me dirty, and I didn't even play with her today because I just knew it was going to be a chop fest. How bad of a chop fest? Bad enough, I didn't even give her a chance. Right? Shut her down. Pre-market high. She didn't get into the pre-market lows, right? Right out of the gate, she dropped, but then rejected. But then got stuck in this channel and just stayed there. What's important takeaway from you? 100% above, pre-market high. And then here we're at right at about 50% extension between the 100% and the 200%. So these levels keep coming up, guys. It's not an accident. What did that look like for us on the daily? Again, we're stuck in the middle of the Bollinger Bands. We're not on the outside on either side, too high or too low. We're right down the middle of that channel, but it is slowly descending. Something to keep your mind on. Unless AMD gets a breath of fresh air and something really powerful comes along with it, expect eventually this thing's going to have a nice header and walk away with a bruise on the top, because it's going to be ugly when it does happen. All right, next up, last but not least, is going to be MU. Pre-market high, pre-market low, stayed above the trend line, but basically got stuck in this channel, which is equal to just a tad bit more than the pre-market high to pre-market low. The sad part about this is it's not centered. It's almost middle ways the 100% extension and almost middle ways the pre-market high to low. Not enough of either to be excited, but look what happened after hours. It just hit its head back on this pre-market high, came back to retest it, broke it by a little bit, and then just the bottom dropped out. So this thing is having a gap down overnight. I expect to see a cover pop in the morning. Maybe it just tries right out of the gate to make some ground out. But what did that look like on a daily, right? We see MU's been struggling, and this is one of the few where, yeah, it's been consolidating, and we had a couple of bad days. Had a little bit of consolidation, gained a little ground, even though the candles were red. But then look at this. It's got that rollover look to it, right? And this thing's ready to drop. So unless AMD and MU, these little guys can get some breath of fresh air in them, these things are getting ready to have another drop like what we had over here. So they're hanging on by a thread, guys. Don't get sucked in. Don't get caught on the wrong side of these trades. Play smart. Think about what you're doing. Do a little more watching and a little less trying, because this just isn't the time to be throwing your money out at random. The big guys are going to take it from you. It looks like the market's been playing around where they give you just enough hope that things are going to bounce, and you start buying in, and all you're doing is providing liquidity for the big guys to get out of their positions. Smart money, the big money, has been getting out for a while. You can see that in the daily chart where it's just been a downward trend, right? We get these little pops just enough to get you some hope, and then right on itself. So if you like this, you like the way I'm breaking things down, you're enjoying these post-market recaps, come over and see us at TrickTrades, right? Take a wander on over, introduce yourself to Pat, introduce yourself to the moderator team. Come on and see what you're missing. All right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. That's what we've got.